What does success mean to you? I know the word success can be relative, but then there are basic things that you need to understand for you to be successful and fulfilled at the end of the day. Which is the reason why this episode of the conversation is very important for you to listen and take note. Because at the conversation, what we basically do is we try to gain wisdom from people that have gone ahead of us to help us make better decisions and become better people in the society. Today, we'll be looking at a topic titled Success, what it is and what is not. Our guest today was the first female director of protocol to a Nigerian president, President Olusegun Obasanjo. During her tenure, she worked closely with royalty like Queen Elizabeth II, the King and Queen of Spain, Margaret Thatcher, and President Bush. Is a true master when it comes to public speaking, life coaching, etiquette, and corporate training. She has served for over 20 years in public service and she meritoriously retired in 2019. Ever since then, she's been helping organizations become better versions of themselves, especially when it comes to management training. Join me as I welcome Madam Sonye Allanah. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for your time.
Always a pleasure.
Okay, ma'am, there have been stories and things that would make one believe now that the young people of today are under a lot of pressure. Pressure to succeed, pressure to be someone that they may not be yet or they have not grown up to become. So please kindly define what success is from your perspective for us.
That's a huge question. What is success? From my perspective, success is when you are able to have a positive influence in the lives of another person. Success is also being able to have shelter, you have food and enough to spare, and also the means of livelihood, obviously. And the thing is that we are in a constant, should I say, race with self, and we want to attain more. We want to attain more, and like you rightly said, the pressure is external, peer pressure. At a certain age, you're expected to have achieved something, to do something, and all of that. And especially now with the hype of in social media, there's a lot of fake pressure because people portray things that they're not. So when people see they're enticed, they say they want to be like that. But really, that's not even what the life is all about. For me, success is peace of mind. Being able to sleep in one's bed at night, knowing that you owe nobody, that nobody owes you, you've offended nobody, and you can just sleep peacefully, knowing that whatever it is that you have done your best for the day. People always or often equate success with financial well-being or financial riches and or material wealth. It's not necessarily that. That's why you have a lot of people who are successful, rich, famous, yet they're totally miserable. So what is success then? For me, really, success is peace of mind. And then when you're a reference point, one or two people can point to you and say, because of this person, I am on the right course of my life. That for me is success.
Wow. So is it possible for someone to be successful and not have money?
Definitely. Because money and success are not, they're not, what do you call it now, synonymous. They're not. Yes, of course, it depends on how you term success. If you're talking about success in terms of maybe having achieved your career goals, your educational goals, and all that. And to be honest, it's part of it. It is part of it. You can't just say, I'm not doing anything, I'm not going to have any money, but I'm going to be successful. No, it's not that. Success really is striving to be better every day, not necessarily be out of from a position of greed, but rather from a position of fulfillment that I've achieved this so that I can do that. Because very often when you ask people, why do you want to be, let's say, a minister? Why do you want 10 million naira? They just want it. It's not to buy bone straight hair and to buy the latest car or
True,
whatever.
true.
So you have it so that can somebody else be better for it? Because I believe that anything that any blessing that we receive is actually for us to bless somebody else. So
True.
it's not for us to just hoard and just for the sake of it and say, "Hey, I've arrived." So that's just it.
Okay, so from what you've explained, ma, one can say that success is actually a journey, not a destination per se.
Success is a process.
Okay.
It is a process, and it's a never-ending process because nobody can ever say they have arrived. The richest man in the world can't say he has arrived
Hmm.
because if you ask him and he tells you the truth, there's so many commas in his life. There's so many regrets. There's so many things that he'd rather be or rather have done or not have done. So it's never a complete circle, but it is we're on a journey, as you said,
Hmm.
and every day we try and get a little closer to the goal and make it work.
So is it possible for someone to know if he or she is succeeding at the level they are right now?
Oh, certainly. Because
Okay.
right now, I mean, I look at you as a total success. You're
Okay.
successful, you're influential. I mean, just look at the way you dress, the way you speak. There's some people that would give an arm and a leg just to be like you. But because we always think of being bigger than ourselves, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with having ambition and aspiring to do better. But you also need to understand that where you are right now, the privilege that you have, the privilege that you enjoy, and you need to you understand it and to recognize it and appreciate it. And once you appreciate it, contentment really is success.
Hmm.
When you're contented with what you have at any level that you are in life, you can bloom, you can blossom, you can influence. And so by the time you get bigger, you bloom, you influence, you blossom in a bigger space. And by the time you get bigger, it is bigger still.
Hmm.
But let somebody be positively affected because of you. For me, that's the main point. And
Okay.
just enjoy anywhere you are right now. Because where you are right now, man, you are great.
True. So where do we draw the line between ambition and success in itself? Because there are people that you get to meet today that you may look at them as they are doing well, they are successful, or to better still put it in Nigerian balance, they have blown or have arrived. But when you get closer to them, you see that they don't feel like they've arrived.
Mhm.
Is that healthy in a way? So how do we divide the line between ambition and complacency?
Ambition is when you can when you can articulate why you want something. I want a degree so I can work. I want to I want to engage in a self-development program so that I can get a promotion, so I can get a better chance. But if you have no reason, just because you want more money, just because you want people to look at you and say, "Oh, that person is fake," so you need to just check the motive. I
Okay.
think that's important. Just check the motive. And
Okay.
if it's something I really can't explain, then it's just an inordinate ambition. Some people just want, and sometimes it's just greed. People just want more, 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 more. But
Hmm.
when you have something and you say, thank God if I have this one, then it's a good place to be.
Is there a shortcut to getting to the top? And I'm asking this because of some of the things that we see regularly on social media these days. You just see someone, let's say 18, 19, 20. There's nothing wrong with it. But when it becomes something that happens frequently, it becomes a concern. Because you see someone that will just wake up one day and post that, oh, thank God, God has done it for me, or this one has happened, posting a picture with his or her house or a brand new car and all of that. And you're wondering, what really happened behind the scene? You are 18, you are 19, you're 20 something, and you've arrived already. Is it that there's a shortcut that those people took that some of us don't know of, or is it a new invention, or it has it always been like that?
Shortcuts are always dangerous. There's always a price to pay for shortcuts. And shortcuts are often short lived.
Hmm.
Let's look at it this way. There's a shortcut through the bush. But as you're going through the bush, you have the danger of scorpions, snakes, uh, whatever, bites from insects and attacks from, whatever. So you can get there quickly, and then you know what? It fizzles out. Because when you get there, you say, okay, is that it? And then discontentment sets in, and then you think, oh, this is not really what you wanted, it's not really whatever disappointment, and then the success is not even, number one, is short lived, and number two, is not enjoyed. That's why you see so many people at the top supposedly at the top, even those people that are famous, that we look up to, superstars and all of that, they are desperately lonely. They are desperately lonely. They are terribly unhappy. They don't trust anybody. They don't have true friends and all of that. And as I say, it's lonely at the top. Just enjoy where you are right now and make the most of it. That is being truly a success.
So for someone that's watching this and feeling pressured, for instance, maybe you have your friends going all around the world, traveling and enjoying life, and you feel like you're not making progress or you're failing in your, what would you say to that kind of person?
Don't envy anyone. We all have our own course. Stay on your own track. Face your front. Your time will come. I have a personal story. When I was in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I was initially on the language bureau, and all my colleagues were kept on going on these lovely assignments, for the ECOWAS meeting, for this and that, and I was only stuck in the language bureau, writing, what do you call it, doing translations. Then one day, everybody was out on one assignment or the other, and I was the only person left doing the translations. And they needed somebody to interpret for the minister. There was nobody there. I was the only person, so they called me. So I went up to the minister's office, did the interpretation for him between him and foreign delegation. And the minister said, "How do we have people like that here?" And I keep looking for an interpreter. I was moved to the minister's office, and I was traveling on the average three countries a day. So you see, you never can tell. Just stay on your beat. Your time will come.
Wow. So at that point where you were the only one in the office, where you see you saw your colleagues traveling everywhere, some will want to either cut corners to get their way. And I'm saying this for people that have a career now, especially in civil service. What would you say? Especially because someone told me recently that promotion in civil service is not as it's not as it is in the private sector. So for someone that's a civil servant watching this, what would be your advice to such people in regards to climbing the corporate ladder?
Don't ever cut corners. Stay in your lane. You think nobody's watching. Your work will stand you out. Be hardworking. Don't cut corners. If work starts at 8, don't come at 9:30. If you're supposed to do something, do it. Don't give an excuse that there's no paper, no ink, no this and that. Do it. Go the extra mile. You think nobody's watching? You'll be surprised. Just do what you're supposed to do. Do what is right. Ultimately, you will be rewarded.
You made mention of something earlier that some of these things that we do, the motive is very clear. It should be clear that if we are getting something because we want to get something else, it becomes it's okay, it's healthy. But when it's just because you want to have it for greed's sake, it becomes a problem. So how can a young person say that is in school right now plan his or her life and career from this concept we're discussing now? Because it starts from that age. When you see someone that maybe didn't go to school, didn't pay more attention to studies, flaunting the good life on social media, you may be under pressure. So how can someone like that wants to live a decent life still make a mark into this world?
Just know that number one, what you see on social media, most of it is fake. It's not true. That's one. And then two, stay on your course, as I said earlier. What is it that you have mapped out for yourself? And one of the key points to making it is discipline. You must be disciplined, you must be self-disciplined, and set boundaries for yourself. So nobody has to set boundaries for you. Excellence it's an attitude, it's not a skill. So that attitude of excellence will stand you out. People will notice you and people will call you. So you must have an attitude of excellence, and you must have a plan. As you said, the plan. You want to get to somewhere because you want to make an impact, change society. Help people, etc. Help your community, and all of that. So just do what it is that interests you, where you have your passion, where you have your natural giftings and callings. Just to do that, and don't cut corners. It's only a matter of time. We are seeing it all around us. Some people that we were saying, oh, that this people's a big man, it's a big woman, all that, and then suddenly it ends in disgrace. We don't need that. Trust me, we don't need it.
So I'm tempted to ask, this pressure that the young people experience today, has it always been like that or has it been heightened in that day? How was it like in your day when you were younger? Man?
There's always pressure, and there's always competition. And the truth of the matter is, it depends on how you deal with it. For
Okay.
example, when I was left as the only person in the language bureau, I felt maybe it was an ethnic thing. I'm from a minority tribe. I was not Yoruba, Igbo, or Hausa, and so I didn't have any godfather or godmother, and I just felt well. I did feel a bit bad. I can't say, oh, that I was blasé about it and say it doesn't matter. I felt bad, but there was nothing I could do, so I just continued doing what I was doing. I didn't lobby to go anywhere. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't compromise anything. And in the end, really, and the same thing also happened when I was about to join the private sector. I was just minding my business, doing my work, where I was, and then I was headhunted, and somebody said, "Oh, they didn't know they still had people like me in the civil service," and I was headhunted, and I moved over to the private sector, and where I retired, meritoriously. I can still call up anybody, both in the private sector and in the
Publicist.
public sector where I was before, and they will answer me gladly because I didn't make enemies along the way, because I didn't get anybody's job or steal anybody's promotion or
Mm,
anything like that. Because there's life after all these things. There's life after that, and
true.
what matters is how well you end. It's just like when you're making a speech. The beginning, how you start and how you end, very important.
Wow. So let's go back to how you started now. When you came out of school,
Mm.
what were the thoughts? Because I know you had a lot of career options at then. What informed the choice you made then?
The choice I made was from when I was about 11.
Okay.
When I was 11 years old, I just knew I wanted to become a diplomat. And I started working towards it from that time, believe it or not. To be honest, at 11, I didn't really know what the work of a diplomat entailed. All I knew was that diplomats were elegant society, they traveled a lot, and they were respected. So I wanted to be that. And I somehow felt that French was important, for diplomatic service. So I started learning French, started paying attention to the language. So I started focusing towards that. And I told my father then that I wanted to become a diplomat, and he just laughed because he thought it was a childish thing, a childish dream. But I stayed with it, and I did become a diplomat. So it was just something that from childhood, that I admired and I worked towards. And then by the time I did now enter the diplomatic service, I then really, entered it with heart and soul because I really enjoyed it.
Hmm.
So that was really it. So everybody is not like me. Some people have no clue what they want to be because, like, for example, I asked my granddaughter, "What do you want to be?" And she's like, "I don't know." At her age, I knew. I mean, she's 16. But at her age, I knew. I already knew exactly what I wanted to be, what I wanted to study. But not everybody knows that. Some people get to know later. Some people depends on the kind of exposure they have. Maybe they join Toastmasters or something, then they say, "Oh, okay, I can do public speaking. Oh, I can do this. I can do that. Oh, I'm a good leader." So it depends on the exposure, per time, per individual. So I think it's not so much a matter of how we start, but then number one, that we identify what we are good at, and then we give it our best.
Okay, you made mention of something very important, exposure. In our day now that there's information overload, what kind of exposure can help someone in coming to this kind of necessary life-changing decisions for themselves?
Just ask yourself, what am I good at? What do I like? What comes easily to me? As Sigmund Freud said, choose a job that you like and you never have to work a day in your life. So is it that you like animals? Do you like gardening? Do you like whatever? Do you like football? And then just look at the jobs around gardening, around animals, around football. And then you find that you do something that really captures your interest. And where you're interested, you'll excel there.
Hmm. So when you made those decisions and you were going to school, making these plans, were they challenges? Was it just overnight? Did everything just happen according to the way you planned them? Oh,
Life never happens according to plan.
aha.
My first hiccup was my French teacher in secondary school. She didn't like me, I didn't like her. So I flopped French. That was number one. And I remember I wanted to become a diplomat.
Yeah.
So by the time I finished my O levels, I had to go back for remedial French. And I then got admission to university. When I went for my interview for foreign affairs, they tried to dissuade me. The interview panel said that that women don't do well in foreign affairs. What will happen if I get married? Is my husband going to follow me around? We're an African society. I'm supposed to follow my husband. Is not my husband supposed to follow me? They did everything to discourage me. But I kept on to my dream. I knew what I wanted. And so even by the time, just at the point where I was about to be given my appointment letter, they were asking me, "Are you sure?" I said I was sure. So when you're sure about something, you make it work.
Hmm. So how about the influence of peer around you at that time, especially at that formative stage? where you knew what you wanted and it wasn't making sense to a lot of people around you then. How were you able to deal with that?
Well, again, I think it's an individual thing. I don't really care because during my days, the banking, to be have a banking job was the in thing. Everybody wanted to work in the bank. Everybody wanted to work in. I never wanted to work in the bank. Yeah, I never wanted to work, and nobody really bothered whether I wanted to do. But everybody was kind of striving to attain their own, their own goals. And so, as a matter of fact, my friend who worked in a bank then, when she was earning 80,000 naira
Month?
per month, I was earning 2,500.
Wow.
So you can imagine this disparity. But somewhere along the line, I caught up and even overtook. So it's then really I used to go to her because of course she was now fleshing out and everything. So her clothes were too small. So I would beg her to give me her clothes that were too small for her, and I was flexing them, in the civil service. But
With
then
joy.
yes, so but by the time I started going on posting and all of that, because when you go on posting, you have an allowance and you don't touch your salary, it runs here. By the time you come back, you're quite comfortable. So it's it all evens out in the end. So
True.
don't envy anybody, don't whatever. Be yourself and stay on your course. I can't overemphasize that.
Wow. So when you finally got into civil service, which represented what you wanted to do all along, were there hiccups as well? After you passed the interview and you started working, aside the one you mentioned that you were not getting posted as your colleagues were, what were the initial hiccups you had and how were you able to manage that? Because I understand the little I know about civil service, things take time.
Mm,
So, because that's another challenge we're having this generation. That's staying power. Because
yes.
you see someone is doing something, you want to do it now. How were you able to overcome that part and stayed true to the cause till you got to where you were?
Well, I think for me, because I entered the civil service straight out of university, I didn't know anything else. So I just accepted it as the norm. Maybe if it had been the other way around, I'd have said, okay, whatever. So, but apart from that, the impatience that the youths are having today, we didn't have it.
Okay.
Because I call this a microwave age. Everything is quick fix, quick, quick, quick. Just do it fast. So we are. I think we are more patient, and it shows even in our marriages and the way tolerate things more. These days you see a massive wedding, it's like a carnival, beautiful. 1 year down the line, it has broken. The people have separated, the couple have separated. Why? There's no staying power. Because they want it to work now. If it doesn't work now, I'm out. And that's not the way it works. And even with your career, you have to pay your dues, as I call it. I remember then a senior colleague of mine, when they were going out and all that, and we are talking about how long we were at headquarters before they're posting us out. He said, you have to pay your dues. He said, I have paid my dues. And after you have paid your dues, truly, that's when you can say you're a thoroughbred. That's when you can say that you have gone through the mill. That's when they respect you, when they say that you're seasoned. You can only be seasoned when you have followed process.
So we made mention of impatience. So is there an attitude or a mindset that can aid someone becoming successful in whatever field that they choose?
Just know that patience is a virtue. It's
Okay.
an age-old truth. It is wisdom, and wisdom really is all that we need. Patience is still a virtue. Always has been, always will be. Just be patient.
All right. How about human relationship skills? Because I used to believe that, or I still believe that no matter how skillful, how talented you are, you still have to relate with a human being to actualize whatever dream you think you have. How important was that skill to you then, and how important it is now? How were you able to? Because you say you got job out straight out of the university, you didn't know quite a lot of things. So how were you able to manage people, especially with differing interests from yours and all of that?
I think the difference between then and now is that then we didn't have social media. So we
Okay.
learned conversation, the art of conversation, the art of being respectful, how you speak to elders, how you speak to people, how you present your case in a respectful manner. So, but now everybody's hiding behind the screen, sending text messages, using ChatGPT, all kinds of things. So by the time you are now confronted in the face-to-face, should I say, situation, sometimes they don't know how to manage it. The art of conversation is being lost, unfortunately. That's why I make it a point of duty when we eat together, no matter who it is that I'm eating with, no phones allowed. Can we communicate? Some people, they're eating and they're looking at their phone.
Mm.
So the obsession has become so much. We don't even know that we're obsessed. Can you drop your phone an hour before you go to bed and not use the phone at all? I remember when I was working my team then, I initiated a tech break. I told them at a certain point during the day, 30 minutes, no gadgets, no computer, no telephones, you don't use the fax machine, you don't use the copier, nothing. Tech break. The first few days, they were walking up and down the corridor. Some would come to my office and say, "Hey, madam, madam." They didn't know what to do with themselves. But after some time, they sat at their desk and started thinking. And after some time, they started becoming creative. And after some time, they started putting pen to paper, things started coming out. We have forgotten the art of even thinking because we
Hmm.
want everybody to think for us, to do things for us, and all of that. So it's time for us to sometimes just have a tech break, put your phone down.
Wow. There's a situation, something I saw on social media recently about a dad that bought phones for his two children, two young ladies. They were still going to school. And he realized that after some time, the elder wasn't talking to the younger one anymore. They used to have a very close bond and relationship. But after the phone came to play, even while they were going to bed, they don't talk. She's always on the phone. She stopped greeting the dad when going out in the morning and all of that. At some point, she realized it and she dropped the phone. That was where their relationship began to build back again. I'm saying this because you made mention of social media and the impact it's having on us now. How do we manage? This is the age we are now. How do we manage it that it will not break down our relationship with people and our interaction generally? How do we manage social media, our real life, our career? How do we create the balance into this world?
We need to discipline ourselves and we can compartmentalize anything. For example, you can give yourself social media time. You can say 2 hours in the morning or 2 hours in the afternoon or whatever, and that's it. And otherwise, look for something else to do. Read a book, speak to someone, have a conversation, just go out for a walk. We don't even notice anything.
Exactly.
For example, I would ask my PA, did you see whatever? She didn't see it. She doesn't. You don't see things anymore. You don't notice things. You don't whatever because it's either on the phone or on your screen or it doesn't exist. So I said that you haven't seen this thing has been sitting here since. They don't even see it. So we need to relearn observation. We need to relearn how to build connections. We need to relearn the art of conversations. We need to relearn being comfortable in each other's presence. Enter an elevator, everybody's on their phone like this.
Exactly.
Why? Because they're afraid to make eye contact. They're afraid to even smile and say good morning. What society are we becoming? We need to watch it.
Hmm. You see the elevated thing you mentioned. The moment you mentioned that, I remember a lot of images now of similar experiences I've had. So, is it that we are losing our humanity?
Definitely we are. To
Okay.
technology we are. We are in danger of losing our humanity.
So is
We've
it,
forgotten how to be human. We have unlearned how to be human.
wow. Okay. So how do we? Okay, I know you've talked about adjusting, taking a tech break, and all, but it seems like there are a lot of people that don't even know what it is like to live without tech right now. You can't even imagine yourself without your phone for 5 minutes.
I know.
For those people that didn't have that experience prior to social media, they were born into it and they have grown into it now. How can that balance be achieved for them?
If one wants to get better, if one wants to improve and become a better version of oneself, there's always a time to unlearn. There's always a time to relearn. So once we are open to learning, once we are teachable, everything is achievable.
Okay. So the part that I really want us to talk about more, you've talked about it before, is this human relationship thing. Because you see someone that have been praying for a breakthrough, a connection, and you meet someone on the road, and the way they relate to the person is a turn off already.
Exactly.
Not knowing who the person is or whether they can be the answer to your prayer. So this is targeted for young people now. How should we relate? First of all, to ourselves, to those younger than us, and to our elders in this time and age.
It's really maybe to join groups where you can relate because, as you said, many opportunities are lost. Many life partners have slipped through the cracks. Why? Because you just didn't look up enough to realize that that was your opportunity, that was your chance, that was your golden moment because of you are looking at your phone or whatever, or you didn't even know half the communication skills. You can join organizations like Toastmasters, where you learn to speak, where you learn to make eye contact, where you learn to smile, where you learn to applaud. So we applaud somebody else for their achievements, no matter how small. That endears you to somebody straight away. But when we don't even know how, we don't know how, so many opportunities escape one. It can also be in church or in a youth group or whatever, but we should need to we should have forum where we can actually interact. The other day, a neighbor, it was his birthday, and we went to greet him for the birthday, and we decided to play some games. Initially, everybody came and their faces were
Hmm.
down on their phones. So my daughter said, "Okay, let's play a game," and she played a game that animated everybody, and people were so enthused, so they were so happy. Some said, "Oh, they've never heard of it before, they've never done it before," and you could see the reaction. Humans crave, they crave fellowship. Sometimes you don't even know what you need, but
Hmm.
the human being needs fellowship. We are created for fellowship. But once we break down those barriers,
Hmm.
the barriers of social media, the barrier of screen, if you check your screen time, you'll be appalled. And then you find that you start having human reactions, even with the person selling tomato in the market, whatever. Actually, look at the person as a person and say, "How are you today?" When the person says, "Oh, you've made my day," things begin to change and you begin to pay attention to human beings. Human beings over gadgets, anytime, every time.
Hmm. Now, there's there are sometimes you go for some trainings and they're saying they're developing soft skills but what are they actually doing is just talk. What are the soft skills you feel are necessary in today's workplace, in today's world? First of all, to be a better human being and to be an effective worker in any sector, whether public or private. Some of the soft skills you've observed over the years and the ones you know now that still work.
The soft skill is to recognize the other human being, the people around you, and to ensure that you don't make them uncomfortable. To ensure that you are polite, you say your please, your thank you, your excuse me, your sorry, and not just to pass them as if they don't exist. Case in point, the security men. Most people just drive past them. Hey, hurry up, open the gate. And you just zoom past. Those are human beings. They are people's fathers, people's uncles, people's brothers. They have their own problems and all that. How about stopping and greeting them by name and say, "How are you today?" How about when you're having your a birthday or something, taking a little piece of cake to them and saying, "It's my birthday, I want you to have this." Treating other people as though they matter. That is really the soft skill, and that's really what gets you forward. Knowing how to behave in any given situation at any time to make somebody feel better, like saying, "How can I make your life better today?" In not so many words, but just doing that.
Okay, thank you. For we're talking about people and relationship now. There is today is very obvious that there are some people that will come to you because they perceive they can get something from you.
Mm.
They don't really care about you as a person. So how do you create a balance between people like that? Because you want to be good, you want to you want to impact lives.
Mm.
Then you have people, flocks of people coming around you because they feel like I can get something, one thing or the other from you. And the moment they get that, that's they're gone. So how do we create this balance now?
Yes, you always see them, the users, they're always there. Very often you can see through them. It's always quite obvious, who those users are.
Okay.
Sometimes you fall victim because it's not everybody that you know immediately because sometimes because they're very manipulative.
True.
They flatter you. They try to be helpful, and you think that they're very helpful, and you don't know that it's just for their own you know,
And
yes, just for their own ambition and whatever. But then you learn, and that you see that's the thing about growth, and that's the thing about process, and that's why as you rise, you learn. And you now learn, and you now understand when you see them, you say, "That's one of them," and all of that. So you know how to deal with them politely at arm's length and all of that. Don't allow them to get too close because those users they're always there.
hmm.
And when the praises are too loud, Suspicious.
Okay, please. I know. Can you say much? Explain more about this part, this last phrase. Now, when the praise is too much, watch it.
Yes.
Please talk about it more.
Yes, you know when people anything you do is good, anything you do is fantastic, anything whatever. And then look at yourself, look at the position. Because you feel they stand something to gain. Because everything about you can't be good. You
Hmm.
can't always be right. So when you have somebody that is around you telling you that the person is fake, so just watch it.
Now, on social media, you can it's common to see someone that has 1,000 like and 2 million views and feel that they are important because of that. I'm just asking this as a follow up to the last thing you mentioned.
Mhm.
How then do people like that get to realize that they are really not making progress because they have likes and comments?
By their own likes, by the time they look at their own likes, what do those likes translate to? What do all those views translate to? In the end, nothing really. Nothing. But when people, that's what I said in the beginning, when people become better because of you, when people find their path because of you, they find their bearing, when people can point to you as a reference point and say, oh, when I saw XYZ, that is when I realized, this and that, and that's how I became who I am today, or that's how I made it, that's how I discovered my niche, that's how, then you can, I mean, success, I mean, is never loud. They always say empty vessels make the most noise. Beware of the noise.
True. And the reason why I'm asking this question is we have what they call social media influencers today.
Hmm.
So, and if you look at it very well, what they basically do is these are people that have large following on social media. And one would ask, this following is good because a lot of them get endorsement from
Hmm.
brands and all. What are they really influencing? Is it the people that follow them or the things that they show? And this part, I feel like this is part of the pressure that the young people
Hmm.
face today. So if you do a post and you don't have 1,000 like you feel like the post you're not anything.
Yes.
So how do we balance this in our mind that you have thousands of likes or you have millions of followers? That doesn't translate to you becoming successful or not.
Social media influencers, and I call them manipulators, because we are manipulated into thinking what success is. It's just some created mirage. That what success really is. It's not about the likes. It's not about the views. It's about who you are, and that is why you find that mental health or mental ill health is on the rise these days. In my days, we didn't even know what was called mental health. There was no such term because everybody was okay. When people would commit suicide in other countries, we'd always say never in Nigeria, never. That because we always would laugh that that all these people that said they had nervous breakdown, but now it's here. Now we have it. Why? Because we are obsessed with the perceived image that people have of us. We create an image for the people. So we are even afraid to be ourselves. So many of us are just the people behind the mask. And we are afraid to remove that mask. That God forbid that people should see us for who we really are. Let them see us as successful. Let them see us as great. Let them see us as rich. Let them see us as, and it doesn't mean. I remember I traveled with somebody once, and I was traveling business class, and she was in economy. So she saw me. She came to greet me during the flight, and there was a vacant seat beside me. So the flight attendant said, "Why don't you sit there so that I don't keep having to brush past you, for a few minutes?" And she said, "Quickly, take a picture of me. Take a picture of me. Take a picture of me."
Really?
And of course, it went on social media. So people say, "Oh, that she's flying business class." You have created the wrong impression. She was not flying business class. She just sat there for a few minutes. But that is how we are. Always trying to create an impression, trying to show who we are not. And that is something we need to come out of. Because it has been like a cancer. It has eaten so deep. We need to get out of it. So we should stop having to always portray an image. You don't have to portray an image. You just have to show who you are. We are afraid that people will not like us when they see us how we really are. Why? But it's not true because everybody is the same. By the time we come down to brass tacks, everybody is human. Everybody has its flaws. Nobody is perfect. But God forbid, everybody has to be. You have to see if you don't wear false lashes, if you don't wear this one, if you don't wear false nails, if you don't whatever, you think that the image is not complete. If you don't have an iPhone, if you don't have no. You don't need all of that. So the strength of character is what is lacking now. And that is where the ill health comes in. because the character is weak. So it's just an image, just a mirage that is big and strong. And once that crumbles, there's nothing left.
I noticed something that is happening now. Just to buttress some of the point and also ask a follow-up question. It is difficult now for people to accept that they need help. I feel like it's that image thing you talked about. But please share more light on that. Why is it difficult now for you to see someone and say, genuinely help? Not people that wants to manipulate, but you know you don't have this thing, and you have this person, someone around you that can really aid you. To humble yourself and ask for the help is a problem these days.
Yes, because of the image that has been created. So how can you that has created this big image of yourself now say that you need help in any area at all? Because they're afraid that people say, you need help. Didn't you say you're this? Didn't you whatever? Some say, well, I have an uncle here. This one is Maya. I know this one. We are classmates. So how do you now suddenly need help? It's because we're not real.
True.
But when we are real, I can say, hey, I'm going through a bad time right now. Do you have 10K? And it's fine. You wouldn't say,
Yeah.
what?
Very true. Very true. Okay, thank you so much, Ma. It
You're
has been an
welcome.
interesting interaction. Please, before you go, advise the young people. We are all your children. In this day and age, who should we be? What should we do? And what should we look out for in terms of success? Because clearly, some of the things that we're striving for are not the real thing. I want a situation where when we get to your age, by God's grace, we should be fulfilled. We should be happy. Because at the end of the day, you're not going to be 20 forever. You're not going to be 30 forever.
That's right.
So what should we aim at this time that we'll have energy, we'll have everything, so that our later life can be better than what it is now?
Just always aim for the best for yourself as well as others, and always ask yourself why. Whatever you're doing, you must answer to the why. And once you find an answer to the why, I believe you are on the right path.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so, so much.